Okay, so now we're going to talk about solving inequalities. We learned how to graph a one-variable inequality. Now we're going to talk about solving inequalities. The really cool thing about solving inequalities, it's exactly the same as solving an equation. Here, we would have an equal sign. Now, there's only a couple of differences, and we'll go over that. But first, we're going to solve an inequality exactly like we've been solving equations. First thing we do is we're going to isolate the x. So, we have a positive form. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to undo on both sides to keep balance. 4 minus 4, we're going to cancel. Bring down the 2x. 24 minus 4 is 20. Now here, we're just going to bring down the inequality sign. Same thing, no difference. Here, now, I'm going to divide by 2 since we're multiplying. Keep balance on the other side, divide by 2. The 2's cancel. I have x. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Bring down the inequality sign. So now, I have an answer. I have x is greater than or equal to 10. Now to graph, we're going to follow the steps as we did in the other video. First, we're going to locate 10 on the number line. Next, we're going to either have an open circle or a closed circle. Here we have equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle. Last step, we're going to substitute numbers in for x to see what's going to make this statement true. I always like to use 0, greater than or equal to 10. Is that true? No, it is not true. So 0 is located to the left of the number line. So now we know greater than or equal to is going to be to the right. 11 is greater than 10, so that satisfies the equation. 12 is greater than or equal to. 13 is greater than or equal to 10. So all the numbers to the right of the number line will satisfy our solution. And we just solved and graphed an inequality. Next, let's try this one. I have m over 3 minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 6. Same thing, we're going to solve it just as if it were an equation. So my m is right here. I need to isolate the m. So I'm going to do reverse PEMDAS. I'm going to add the 3 to both sides. Keep my balance. I'm going to bring down m over 3. Negative 3 plus 3 cancels. A negative 6 plus 3 is a negative 3. Now here, bring down my inequality sign. Nothing has changed. Now I have a fraction. Remember, in order to get rid of the fraction, I multiply by the denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3. Multiply this side by 3. The 3's cancel. I'm left with m. Negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. And then I'm going to keep my inequality sign. Now, graph. Step 1. Locate negative 9 on the number line. Step 2. Solid or open circle. This is equal to, so I'm going to have a solid circle. Step 3, substitute numbers in. Start with 0. Is 0 less than or equal to negative 9? Nope, this is false. So 0 is located over here on the number line. So now we know, according to the video number 1, less than or equal to is going to go to the left. Negative 10 will satisfy this inequality. Negative 12 is less than or equal to negative 9. So our arrow will go to the left. All right, let's go to our next example. Now, same thing, guys. Don't get afraid. This is just the same. Just has an inequality sign. Here we're going to use distribution. So I'm going to rewrite it so you can see it. Less than or equal to negative 18. My first step, I'm going to distribute. What's negative 3 times p? Negative 3p. Negative 3 times a positive 1. A negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to copy my symbol. and copy the right side of the equation. Next, I'm going to do reverse, right? I need to get the p isolated, so I'm going to add the 3 to both sides. Add the 3 to both sides. I'm going to bring down the negative 3p. 3 minus 3 cancels. A negative 18 plus 3 is a negative 15. And I bring down my inequality sign. All right, here's a change. Let's use light purple. Now, my p I need to get by itself. So, I need to divide by a negative 3. I need to divide by a negative 3. Now, here is a difference. Here is a difference. Write this down. When you divide by a negative, something special happens here. These negatives, they cancel. I'm left with p. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 15 divided by 3 is 5. That's the same. But something happens with my inequality sign. It flips. Once again, when you divide by a negative, and you divide by a negative, you need to flip the inequality sign. Now, in order to check, to make sure that this is correct, we're going to substitute in, but here's change number 2. We do not use this. We do not use this. We use the original, okay? So the first difference, when you divide by a negative, you flip the sign. Second difference, you use the original to check. Okay, you do not use this one. We go back up into the original. Okay, so if I'm going to use 0, if I'm going to use 0 up in here, well, first let's start by graphing. Let's find the 5. So we know we need to locate 5. We know we're going to have a solid bubble. Now, instead of using this bottom equation, we go back to the original. If I plug 0 in right here, 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 times negative 3. Negative 3 is less than or equal to negative 18. Is that true? Is negative 3 less than or equal to negative 18? I'm going to let you answer that question and you draw the arrow. This will be what we're going to discuss in class tomorrow. Remember, this is a homework. This should be added to your notes, and you're going to tell me which way the arrow should go. Now, let's do some practice. Here, we're going to distribute the negative 4 times the negative 4. We're still solving a problem, guys, even though we have an inequality sign. We're still just solving an equation. So, I'm going to distribute the negative 4 times the negative 4 is 16. Then I'm going to distribute the negative 4 to a positive x. And just rewrite. Now, from here, what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract the 16 to both sides, right? I'm still trying to solve for x. (16 minus 16 cancels. We bring down the negative 4. And what's 56 minus 16? 40. All right, so I'm not done. I still have to divide. But uh-oh, what's happening here? I'm dividing by a negative. Be careful. Flip the sign. Flip the sign. I flip the sign. Now where do I go and check? I check back into the original problem, right up here. So now to graph this, negative 10, I locate on the number line. I have a less than sign, so it's an open circle. And then, now, I go up top. I plug in the original. I plug it into the original to make sure that I satisfy the equation. Again, tomorrow in class. Let's go over to number 6. I'm going to distribute. Negative 4 times 3, negative 12. Negative 4 times n, negative 4n is greater than negative 32. Add the 12, right? I'm solving just like a normal equation. The 12s cancel. I bring down the 4n, negative 4n. I keep my sign. Negative 32 plus 12 is 20, negative 20, right? Again, I am dividing by a negative, dividing by a negative. So I flip the sign. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So then I go up to my number line, I find 5. I have less than, so it's open circle. And then I go up to my original problem, I plug in a number, and I see which way my arrow is going to go. And we'll stop for there, and we'll use these in class tomorrow.
Yeah.